It is hardly a secret that American universities, and the more elite the university, the bigger this problem is, have become factories of indoctrination and of cultural and intellectual repression. They talk about diversity, but one diversity you'll never find on the American campus today is intellectual diversity. And these places, I think, are hopeless. They cannot be salvaged. They are rotted from the inside. They've been taken over by people who are scoundrels and crooks. And if it were up to me and I had the power, I would shut them all down. I would basically start from scratch. I would, politically speaking, burn them to the ground. And this may seem like, oh, Dinesh, you've become suddenly a Hun, you've become a barbarian. No, I'm not. I actually am a protector of civilization in doing this. These are anti-civilizational institutions. Now, here's a small example that stands as a kind of synecdoche, a metaphor for the whole thing. Recently at MIT, a geophysicist, a world-famous scholar named Dorian Abbott, was invited to give a lecture. This was the prestigious John Carlson lecture, and it was about a subject in his field. But on Twitter, leftists began to complain that this is a man who has been critical of affirmative action. Why? Because he wants things to be judged on the basis of individual merit. And so even though you have a world-class scholar giving a lecture in his own field, the pressure begins to mount to cancel him. And MIT does cancel him. So think about it. This MIT is not even, in a sense, the most leftist of universities. It's identified as a more scientific or technical university, one of the leading ones in the world, along with Caltech. And even MIT submits to pressure, and MIT basically caves. Recently, the faculty chair, Lily Tsai at MIT, sends out a survey to professors asking them two questions. Do you feel on an everyday basis that your voice or the voices of your colleagues are constrained at MIT? 60% yes. Are you worried, given the current atmosphere in society, that your voice or your colleagues' voices are increasingly in jeopardy? 83% yes. Now note that these are liberals. These are not conservative faculty at MIT saying this. The liberals are being constrained. Why? Because what we're dealing with is not liberalism, not the problem of liberalism on the campus, but the problem of illiberalism. Now, a group of centrist and conservative and liberal in the classical sense scholars, a very impressive mix of people, want to start a new university. They're calling it the University of Austin. And the idea is for this university to be launched in 2022, master's programs, and then undergraduate programs starting in 2024. They're looking for land in Austin. You may say, why Austin? And they give kind of a funny answer. One of the spokesmen, well, on the website, they say, if it's good enough for Elon Musk and Joe Rogan, it's good enough for us. So I take that to be a witticism. But I think they believe that Texas is a hospitable intellectual environment. And of course, Austin is a vibrant intellectual place. So they're seeking accreditation. And they're looking to be a real university. And in fact, they would be perhaps the only real university in the mainstream in the country. I say in the mainstream because there are conservative and Christian universities, but those don't have influence on the larger mainstream of academia. I think that the University of Austin intends to do that. According to Peter Boghossian, a philosopher who's affiliated now with University of Austin, he goes, the moment we announced it, literally hundreds of professors from colleges around the country have essentially come running to our doors saying, I'm ready to get out of there. My place has become a cesspool. My place has basically become a nightmare. Please hire me. I'll work for less because I just can't stand the suffocating environment that I'm part of. Who are the people who are part of this university? Well, there's the former Harvard president, Larry Summers. There's the former ACLU president, someone whom I've debated and I actually get along very well with, Nadine Strossen. Arthur Brooks from Harvard, the Harvard historian Neil Ferguson. And then there are also some journalists and writers, Andrew Sullivan, Barry Weiss, the MIT and Harvard scholar Steven Pinker. So this is a first-rate group of people who are part of this operation. Now, what's kind of funny is that the leftists who are sort of trying to discredit this, and here's Julia Eoff, who's a writer, she goes, a serious question about everyone tweeting rapturously about U of Austin. Would you send your kids there if it was between, say, Harvard and the University of Austin? And I reply, are you kidding? I went to Dartmouth, so did my daughter, who graduated in 2017. But today, without hesitation, I would choose this group of scholars and this university in a heartbeat. I know Danielle would as well. Why? Because Harvard has become a woke madrasa. Harvard is as close-minded as some Islamic-funded institution in Pakistan, which is getting all its money from Saudi Arabia and is taught by people with kind of long beards who beat their wives. So Harvard is no more open-minded than a madrasa today. And I think people at Harvard who are trying to speak up would testify to it. Now, obviously, if you agree with the madrasa ideology, you're not going to see the assault on free speech. You're going to be like, yeah, madrasa thinking is all there is. So this is what has happened to our universities, and it's happened to a lot of our institutions, and I'm really happy to see that someone somewhere is trying to do something about it.